Mount Buninyong in Victoria has been the home of the Australian Open Road Cycling Championships for the last 3 years. We're back in 2009. More than 450 riders, both male and female, have come to the mountain, and their aim is to chase the national jerseys up for grabs. And, of course, the gold, silver and bronze medals. 9 titles. Well, that's what the riders are racing for. Phil Liggett is with me, the voice of international cycling. And, Phil, an exciting 4-day carnival up for grabs.
Yes, very much so. This is a tremendous entry with many of the European-based riders coming back to contest these championships. And at the same time, we mustn't forget Australia coming back off rather a dismal Olympic Games in Beijing. So now we're looking forward to the youth that's going to carry the Australians through to 2012 in London.
They call Mount Buninyong the Mount Panorama of Australian cycling. It's a very tough circuit, a 10-kilometre circuit. The males on the road race on Sunday have to do this circuit 16 times. Is that too much to ask, given that it's a very early time of the year?
It is a tough call because these riders are building up for what is a long season ahead, culminating, of course, in July with the Tour de France. So, yes, it is very tough. And it's going to be a hard race. A water attrition problem.
You're right there, Phil. Big names. And most of the European-based professionals who ply their trade on the pro circuit in Europe are here. It's going to be a very exciting men's road race.
It is indeed, yeah.
Let's have a look at some of the top contenders for 2009.
Carla, day one of the National Championships. Time trial, tough event. How do you think you'll fare?
Oh, look, I haven't done a lot of prep for it. Last race was World Championships back in Varese, so, you know, not expecting anything, just going out there to have a good day, have a bit of fun.
This is one of my pet events, but I can't say I've had the best preparation for it. It's all been about the individual pursuits, so we'll see what I can do today.
Definitely Carla Ryan and Vicky Whitelaw will be the two to beat, so hopefully I'll have to go a lot better this year than I did last year, just to, I think, hang on to third, to tell you the truth, because you've also got Kathy Watt, who's always there, and some rollers have come along as well, like Amber Halliday. She's been going really well in training, so yeah, I'm pretty nervous.
Now you've got a new rider on your team this year, Sally Robbins. It's very interesting to see her come over to cycling.
Yes, it is. Sally is obviously coming with a lot of attention here, and she's in the early stages of a new career and something exciting and a challenge for her. She's actually making decisions over the next 12 months whether to go back in the boat or pursue a cycling career and how that plays out. But she's coming with a lot of potential. She's still in the early stages of getting on the bike and learning. But I think she's got a lot to offer into the sport and obviously receiving a fair bit of attention right now.
So, a big moment then for Sally Robbins, and she's not the only rower in the race, by the way, because Amber Halliday here, 2-time gold medalist at the world level, she's also having a crack at the championship.
Well, Robbins looking very relaxed there, but time trials are won and lost in the warm-up. You can see here the girls getting into it.
Well, one name we haven't been able to locate at the moment is the defending champion Bridie O'Donnell. As we now look at the map here, once leaving Buninyong, you turn left at the Midland Highway, over the top, and then you've got some undulating roads before you swing down a steep hill, returning towards the finish. A tough day indeed. Well, as the riders face up now to the timekeeper, there are 27 to start at 1-minute intervals. The sad news is the defending champion Bridie O'Donnell is on her way to hospital, apparently very sick overnight with a gastric problem and a scratch from the event.
Well, she certainly is, but Sarah Kent here out in the start house. She had a great week last week in the Bay Cycling Classic, quickly settling into her rhythm.
And further up the road, 7th to go, Joe Tomich here, 19 years of age, the West Australian, aiming for an under-23 medal. Meanwhile, in the start house, another West Australian here, Sally Robbins, making a debut at cycling at this level, the ex-rower who lay down in rowing in the 8s in Athens.
Well, Phil, she's got a great style. A lot of interest around her this morning. A lot of media wanting to talk to her. She wouldn't do any interviews before the start. She said, "I'll wait till I'm done, thanks."
Well, this is the third woman to start and the first to finish. The arrival of Charlotte Giller here from Queensland. She's under 23, 42.59 for her. That's the time now for everybody to aim at here, Dave.
Amber Halliday out of the start house. Meanwhile, Sally Robbins pushing a big gear across the top of the climb here.
Well, as Sally Robbins is out on course, we're seeing the arrival at the finishing line of Josephine Tomich. Here she comes. This will be a new best time and a leading under 23. She hits the line, 42.56. As we now go down onto the start line again, this is Carla Ryan making a start here. Now, she will be really, I think, the hot favourite now with the withdrawal of Bridie O'Donnell, as she probably knows that as she moves out onto the course and climbs up the Midland Highway. She's got herself quite a good rhythm going here. Meanwhile, back at the finish, this is the arrival of Sally Robbins. Well, her time, Dave, isn't the best in the world. It's 47.04, and that is a little bit of a way off the pace for her. Kathy Watt knows all about it. She's been a champion of Australia on 31 occasions. She's 44 years of age, and she still looks for a medal today.
She still gets pretty nervous before the starts here. You think so many years in the sport she'd be nice and relaxed, but she really doesn't want to talk to anyone before the start. She gets in the zone, and who knows, she could take this out today.
Second last rider to go, the bronze medalist of a year ago, Alexis Rhodes from South Australia, 24 years of age, sporting the green colours there of her American professional team, and she'll be thinking of a medal today, and it could be gold here. She settles down into the rhythm. Once they're on the climb, which is where she is now, up the Midland Highway here, Dave, the wind is really tough.
It is very tough today. It's blowing up across the top of the course, but Rhodes is a strong bike rider. Look at the gear she's thumping. I love her style. I love the way she races a bike race. She's very aggressive. She's not scared to have a go, and she does the same in individual time trials.
Look at this, Dave. This is Carla Ryan here. She really is throwing the gauntlet down for the best time because she's catching Sarah Roy. Sarah Roy started 4 minutes in front of her, and she is pedalling very smoothly. Back to the start house. The last woman to leave here now, who might consider herself the favourite here, Vicky Whitelaw. She now gets pole position with the withdrawal of Bridie O'Donnell, and she has the advantage of knowing just how everybody in front is going, not least Kathy Watt, who is up amongst the leaders on the time checks.
Incredible. Watt there, you can see the expression on her face. She would potentially be getting time checks out on the road. So too would this girl here, Carla Ryan. But as you said, Phil, Ryan is on a mission. She's producing a time that could take this event out.
Well, she won the title when she was under 23 in 2007, so automatically she won the under 23 title as well. This is Vicky Whitelaw now, closing up from the back. Meanwhile, just a minute ahead up the road is Alexis Rhodes here. They're pretty close on time just now. As we go back up to Carla Ryan here now, the lonely road ahead, but take a long look up there. She's pegging back another woman. Now we are hearing, although we haven't seen it, Vicky Whitelaw here settled back into a rhythm after a bike change or a wheel change. She's had a flat tyre, and that's going to cost her dearly. Down to the finishing house, still riders to be picked off here by Carla Ryan as she heads up towards the line. The long straight here, the time to beat, she knows, is just around 42 minutes. This is going to be the best time so far. Hits the line. 41.21. That, Dave, is the time to beat. Can Kathy Watt do it?
Well, she makes the final left-hand turn towards the finish line. It's going to be tight. Watt is trailing by a lit. Here's Alex Rhodes, still out the road.
Well, Whitelaw sadly is out of this after a flat tyre. As we go back down to the line now, Kathy Watt hits it. She goes into second place. Remarkable, 41.34. The only woman now who can take the title is this one here. Alexis Rhodes is pushing on poor old Vicky Whitelaw. The flat tyre, you can see in her face here now. She hasn't got the drive of earlier because she knows the tyre's probably taken her out of the medals. But not this girl here. Alexis Rhodes comes up. She is very, very close to the best time of Carla Ryan, 41.21. She's gone up with the same time on the board as we see the arrival round the back here of Sally Robbins. This will go to the count back of tenths of a second. There's just one woman to arrive out on course now, and the time has already slipped by for Vicky Whitelaw, but the judges are saying that Carla Ryan is the champion by 0.6 of a second.
Oh, this means so much. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything, and to come along and take this out and take the jersey now back to Europe with Cervelo, it's awesome.
And the conditions out there, pretty windy?
Oh, hugely windy for me. Not used to such windy conditions, but I've had a few windy time trials during the year in Europe, and I've handled them quite well. So, you know, I was still pretty happy to out there. Didn't lose too much confidence with that.
Alex, a silver medal, but the time difference, just 65 hundredths of a second. Sorry about reminding you, but is it a painful experience?
It is, but at least I know I'm close, I guess. But, I mean, like I said before, Carla's an awesome bike rider, so, yeah, I mean, while it hurts to lose by that much, it's, you know, she's no slouch, so it's not like I got beaten by a bad bike rider. So.
Oh, it's really nice to make the podium. It's just the start of the season, so my fitness is just improving, and yeah, it's great to be on the podium and be so close to the winners.
Josephine, you got the gold medal as the under-23 time trial champion of Australia. What does this mean for you?
Yeah, this means a lot to me. Time trial is one of my pet events, so to come here with very limited preparation, you know, it just shows that it's a really good start to the year and I've got some good form.
I take it in my stride and just learn from each experience I have. I've only had 2 time trials before this, so like my coach Daryl, he's been really good, and Gary Suckling back home, and I've got a coach in Queensland, Mike Dye. They've all given me tips and what to think about, and they've been really good like that. So.
Well, Sally certainly has the right people behind her up in Sydney, but she's a lot of work to do. 22nd out of the 27 finishes. She has now put in her first appearance at a national cycling time trial here in Australia, and she's holding on a pretty calm face here as the media just want to know, can she make it at top level in cycling? So Carla Ryan returns to the top in the Australian Time Trial Championship. She last won this title back in 2007 when she was only 21 years of age. And this time she beats Alexis Rhodes of South Australia by the really narrow margin of 62 hundredths of a second. Catherine Watt, well, what can you say? At 44 years of age, she rivals the great French cyclist Jenny Longo, and she gets a bronze medal this time. Meanwhile, the rower Amber Halliday comes in with her first attempt and a great 4th place. Poor Vicky Whitelaw, perhaps the pre-race favourite, and she finished in 5th after that flat tyre. Josephine Tomich, the 19-year-old West Australian, she is now the under-23 champion. Before the women got underway, there were 31 entries for all of the riders under the age of 23, having a crack at their national championship. These are the stars of the future and the riders that the Australian Cycling Federation are looking forward to represent them in London at the 2012 Olympics.
Zach Dempster was one of the riders who'd already claimed a national championship. He was out on the course, but the expected medalist would start later on.
And one of those medalists expected was Michael Matthews, 6th from the end, in fact, from the ACT. The 18-year-old made a very positive start. The wind was pretty strong here, and at the arrival of Zach Dempster, he was setting the trend. 37.18 was the time to beat.
Well, the riders starting at 1-minute intervals, and Jack Bobridge here, Beijing Olympian, already producing world-class times on the track, Phil.
Yes, and only at 19 years of age has already won the World Junior Team Pursuit Championship in 06-07. The arrival of Michael Matthews' new time, 36 minutes, 10 seconds. That would in the end be good enough for the bronze medal. While out on course, Travis Meyer was catching his minute riders. Down at the finishing line, Jack Bobridge came home with the best time of the day, 36 minutes and 3 seconds, leaving just Travis Meyer to try and upset the result board. When he arrived, he wasn't quick enough for gold, but he was for silver.
Jack Bobridge is the newly crowned national champion in the time trial for the under-23. Congratulations, Jack. Wonderful performance. You must be pretty pleased. Tell us why.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm really pleased today. Stoked. It's my first ever Australian individual medal, gold medal that is. So, yeah, I'm as happy as it can get us first. It's great.
So Jack Bobridge, the new champion with 36.03. Travis Meyer just sneaking in for silver by 65 hundredths of a second over Michael Matthews. That's the under-23 men. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will be with the elite men. The delightful village of Buninyong was Victoria's first inland settlement. Now the town is a hub of cafes and restaurants. Gold was discovered here in 1851, which led to the town building 20 hotels in the next 2 decades. The men's time trial over 39 kilometres. Michael Rogers, the man to beat, the former 3-times world champion time trialist. He'll be taking on his teammate, in fact, Adam Hansen here. The Queenslander was the winner of this title last year and has had a very good season in Europe since. The same can't be said for Michael Rogers, although he is recovering from the Epstein-Barr virus disease. And he is a man looking for his first ever Australian time trial championship at this level.
You've just stepped off the plane from Europe. How's the body?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I slept well the last couple of nights and feel pretty much over the jet lag, yeah.
How much of a focus is this weekend?
It's quite important for me. I haven't raced for a couple of years. I've been obviously back in Europe training, and it's been a little bit tough with the winter conditions, a lot of snow. You know, but still I was able to do quite a bit of quality, and I'm really looking forward to having a good race today.
Well, I've had a cruisy week, so I've taped into it, and training is going well. But I do have a hard man to beat, so it's going to be an extremely hard day for me, but I can only do what I can.
Riders in the elite race cover the biggest distance of 39 kilometres, climbing up the highway and then over the back of the circuit. Long descent down towards the finish. Conditions are cold and windy. 43 riders taking the start, and sadly no Rory Sutherland, who has won the silver medal in this championship 3 times since 2005. He left the area this morning with a migraine, which is a real shame. Well, the course itself is being whipped by the wind here. It's quite chilly as well, Dave.
It is, and the wind is a lot stronger than yesterday. As we see the riders, the early riders now heading up the climb, you can see it's tough. David Pell always performs well in the individual time trial. Maybe today is his chance to shine.
David Pell, ever consistent, makes his start. He's a Victorian. Out on course is Cameron Worth here. Another man who is showing good time checks at the moment and leading the charge. The top names like Hansen and Rogers and Meyer, they will go at the end of the line.
Well, whether or not this will suit Worth is remain to be seen. If the wind drops or if it picks up later on, maybe it will favour the early riders. Chris Yongaward, another rider here. The talk has been that he has been tearing it up in training. Now's his chance to prove it.
Well, again, a great ride by him in the time trial last year. He's really a mountain biker as he settled in out on course now. He comes from South Australia. And he looks pretty good, but this course is so undulating, the wind is so difficult, it gives you the impression these guys are not going that quickly, but in fact they're averaging around 40 kilometres, 45 kilometres an hour here.
They are, and it's the back of the course where the headwind really picks up. So it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a strong rider. Peter Milostic out of the start house. Another one who performs well, but he's always just trails that bit from the top guys.
Former circuit race champion of Australia, Milostic underway. This is back to Worth now. Worth is setting the trend out on the course as well, just at the moment. He's recorded a time at half distance, 25:43. The Garmin Chipotle rider starting in the new colours, first time professional now, Cameron Meyer. A lot of people are saying this is the man to watch today. He settled in very quickly, got a terrific style. He really is a star of the future, this rider. There's no question of this.
Oh, he is a star of the future, and you could see there already catching his Minuteman. So the indications show that he is going to be on a good time if he can keep this up. And look at this, he is tearing it up. He's catching his next man here in front.
Well, at the moment, the checks are saying that the 20-year-old is going through with the best time at the halfway distance there. So Cameron Meyer at 24 minutes 15 as Richie Porte makes his start. He could be a challenger, most surprising rider, another Tassie rider, and he won the Tour of Tasmania 2008. He's out on course, and I'm sure he's got ambition today.
Well, Port was 4th in the road race last year, a bit of a surprise, but this is what everyone has come to see. Michael Rogers, 3 times individual time trial champion of the world. He has not come back for a holiday, Phil.
From the snows of Italy, where he had to do his training indoors, to the rather chilly temperatures here of Buninyong. But nonetheless, these weather temperatures are going to suit Michael Rogers. Just look at this man here now. He's caught Stuart Shaw for 2 minutes. Cameron Meyer tapping out the rhythm. This will be his last race as a 20-year-old. He's 21 on Sunday, by the way, in the road race day. As we now see the start here of Adam Hansen. He is the last man to go as defending champion. Up front, it's his teammate he's chasing.
It certainly is. So Hansen out, all riders now out on the course. The time checks are going to be interesting. Look at Rogers, he looks like he's almost smiling there. Looks like he's really having fun today.
Well, the time to beat at the finish so far, Dave, is 52.37 from Ben Curtin of Western Australia. And they're going to be up on that now because this is Adam Hansen. And although he has apparently been the fastest up the climb of the Midland Highway, he is now beginning to struggle. He does not look good at all.
He certainly doesn't, but here's David Pell, and he looks like he's done a good time as he hits the line. 51.59, we've got a new leader.
He's such a solid rider, David Pell, but this rider is setting the road on fire right now. Cameron Meyer's ahead of all of the other favourites, and it looks like he is scorching along. 24.15 is his halfway check. No one is remotely close to that, Adam Hansen included, who is falling slowly off the scene altogether. He's conceding now almost a minute to Michael Rogers, so clearly something is wrong. Rogers and Cameron Meyer are head-to-head. The arrival of Cam Worth here, who did 24.43 at halfway, 51.06, new leader there. Meanwhile, out on the course, through the chicane, over the railroad crossing, comes a Michael Rogers. He has never won the national title, but it's not going to be a formality. And now look at this. This is teammate Hansen flexing his legs. Now, we did hear, Dave, that he is or has got saddle sores. And if he has, I think his brain's gone out of gear here.
I'll tell you what, it certainly doesn't help in an individual time trial. He just doesn't look smooth. He doesn't look comfortable. You can see he's grimacing a bit. He would know that he's well down. And I'll tell you what, I think he'd be slowly throwing in the towel as Rogers catches another Minuteman in front of him. This is like 4 minutes up the road here.
Well, back at the finish, Chris Youngerwood's in second best time for him at the moment, behind Cameron Wirt of 51.57. But the pacemaking here by Michael Rogers, who's setting the time to beat. It's a two-man race, this, because only Cameron Meyer is near Rogers now. At the halfway, it was 24.10 Rogers, 24.15 Meyer, and way off the pace, Adam Hansen at 25.22. This is the rider who could surprise. An awful lot of people have a big faith in him, not least his new American professional team, Garmin-Chipotle. And Cameron Meyer is an inch away from a national title here. Only Rogers can beat him at the moment. Richie Porte is in the frame as well, but not quite as close.
Richie Porte, he's very impressive indeed. But here you see now Cameron Meyer as he comes towards the line, and it's 49.05. We have a new leader. Can Rogers beat this? We'll have to just wait and see.
We not only have a new leader, we have a course record there. Nathan O'Neill's record has been blown out of the water with that time, 49.05. So if Rogers is going to win it, he's going to have to go even quicker on the course. As he swings down towards the finishing straight now, Michael Rogers, 3 times the world champion, never once the champion of Australia at elite level. As he races towards the line now, he's got a great rhythm going here. He came down the steep hill down towards the main straight to the finish at just short of 100 kilometres an hour. Porter's come in there, but he's below the time of Meyer. He might get the bronze medal, because there's the time. Michael Rogers, 48.59. The event record runs to him, and that is an incredible time. The arrival of last year's champion, Adam Hansen, and I'm afraid he's not going to make the top 10.
He's out of the top 10. There's Rogers, looks very happy with himself indeed. He knows he has got it in the bag. Meanwhile, Hansen coming across the line, Phil, day's over for him. And
it wasn't his day. He's conceded 3 minutes 38 to his teammate Michael Rogers.
How does that make you feel?
It's great. It's actually my first national championships I won, I think. But certainly very proud, and looking forward to wearing the jersey all around the world.
Conditions here, pretty windy, pretty gusty, pretty cool. Conditions that suited you?
I mean, yeah, it was really tough. The wind was coming from all directions, It's seemed to be a headwind the whole way around. But yeah, I was really happy, and conditions, were pretty ideal for me, considering, I come back from European winter. And I hope Sunday is the same.
Adam, a bit disappointed, but from a personal point of view, taking away the place, were you happy with your ride today?
Oh, not really. Everything went wrong. I didn't feel good. Couldn't get going. Lost my rhythm. Yeah, so if I finish the ride doing my best, then that's a good thing. But if I finish my ride not doing my best and know I can do better, then yeah, I'm not too happy about it all.
You said before the start you're here really predominantly for the road race. So what do you do now? Do you change anything between now and Sunday?
Not really. I'm a bit more eager to win the road race now. To me, it was more of, if I can show that I'm riding well today, then it's better to enter the road race with a better result today. But now I got a not so good result, so I guess that'll make it harder mentally, and I guess it won't be such a big wow factor coming into the road race.
Without a victory since 2006, Michael Rogers will enjoy this moment here, his first ever national time trial title, and he is now set for the Tour de France for sure. He seems to have recovered all of his old form after sickness and injury. He wins this event in an event record time of 48.59 ahead of Cameron Meyer, a real star of the future, who was just a few seconds slower, and Richie Porte, who always delivers surprises from Tasmania, getting the third place slot, 50-50. Cameron Worth took fourth place, Chris Youngerwood was fifth, and David Pell. You'd be well advised to spend at least a day to explore Sovereign Hill, the magnificent reconstructed township of Ballarat in the 1850s. It's built on the site of one of its richest mines. You can pan for gold, ride in a Cobham Company coach, wander through old-style buildings and soak up the atmosphere of a bygone era. Well, the ride is now facing up to a weekend of road racing, having had a rest day yesterday and the time trials behind them, and the women are now ready to strut their stuff. International flavour here as well, with the German international cyclist Judith Arndt also flexing her legs for the first time this season. David McKenzie now talking with some of the hopefuls.
Carla, great ride a couple of days ago, but now for the big one.
Yeah, it's going to be tough out there. There's 80-odd girls, and I haven't raced a nationals with a field that big, so it's going to be an interesting race.
Look, we've got such a good field today. There are so many girls out there, probably, you know, in the top 10 in the world. And I really am watching a couple of them. There's a German lady over here, and we've got Ruth Corset and a couple of Queenslanders. Yeah, there's quite a good field, so I've got my eye on a lot of them.
I've got a lot of intensity in the legs, but I'm not really sure how my aerobic base is going to be today. So the heat's up and the wind's down, so I'm hoping for a good race.
Judith, welcome to Australia. Do you plan on stealing the show today?
No, I mean, I'm only a guest and it's not my race. I only take the opportunity to race. I mean, I couldn't race in Germany right now, so but I'm not fit, and it's not about me.
Well, we'll know soon if it is one for her. The circuit is 10.2 kilometres and the women covered it 10 times. The long climb is always the deciding factor. And it really is good to see such a big field on the start line, David. 69 women setting off here for what is, I think, likely to be a war of attrition.
It's an incredible field, Phil, but look, it is an afternoon start. It's going to be very hot. It's very hot already. This will be a tough race for the girls, and I dare say one of the toughest races that they'll do all year, because this course is brutal. It's almost a over 4 kilometre climb. Here's Nikki Butterfield. She's had some pretty good early season form, just leading them up the first lap.
Yeah, she's riding on the outside of Kirsty Brune, who's just coming off a very successful Jaco Bay Classic Series down in nearby Geelong, actually, so she'll be confident today. But I have to say, the girls are going to treat this circuit with respect. A very sedate start as they come off the Midland Highway into Mount Buninyong Road, and this is where it really does kick up, and somebody's gone out on the attack straight away.
This looks like Rebecca Locke. Rebecca Locke, she's gone on the attack. She's not waiting around. She's a former triathlete, Locke, and she now works for the Fire Brigade, so she's been training very hard for this, and she's got herself up the road.
Well, she just gently got away from the field. No reaction at all. There's the field, though. Having said that now, as they go along Gear Avenue here and they turn in towards the finishing straight, they've got to drop through the trees. They've got themselves in a long straight line. They can hit speeds here of around 75, 80 kilometres an hour. And I think at last the women have decided it's time to go hunting.
They are, and look at them here as they come off the descent. This is the left-hand turn back into the finishing straight. It's about 2 kilometres back towards the finish line. But look at this. Here's Locke. She has punctured. She will go back to the peloton. As Carla Ryan has a sip of water, I tell you what, it is starting to get really hot out there. Peter Mullins, another rider who's still looking pretty good.
Well, Mullins, of course, is aiming for the under-23 title here. There's nothing to stop her winning the elite title either. It's been done before. Carla Ryan, in fact, did it 2 years ago, taking the under-23 and the actual national title. So this is the lead group of women now, basically all together, but greatly reduced from the 69. Bit further down the road, one girl missing out of that lead group now is Sally Robbins, the rower. I think she's finding her indoctrination into cycling a little bit tough.
She's found it a little bit tough, Phil, but she hasn't been the first girl to get dropped. I've been quite happy with her performance. But here's Alexis Rhodes at the top of the climb, 2.5 laps to go. She's going for home.
Yes, the lovely view there from Mount Buninyong, missed out by Alexis as she goes over the top. Now we're 2.5 laps from the finish here. This very select bunch is marauding behind her. Gap at the moment is round about 45 seconds. They should be a little concerned now, Dave.
They should be, but look, there's still quite a few girls left. I saw Kathy Watt on the back of that peloton. But Alex Rhodes, look at her thumping a big gear. She's a time trial specialist. She's just got to get herself over that climb.
I think we saw that just a couple of days ago. She got the silver medal in the time trial. Last year she got the bronze in the same event. Now she's trying to show her time trialling skills and ride off the whole of the women's elite field and the under-23 riders here. And she's riding very smoothly, but there's a counter move coming on here.
Certainly is. Sarah Kent from WA. She is trying to go across. She also had a strong week last week in the Bay Crits. Very strong rider. And look at the physique, quite different to Alex Rhodes. But here's a group of 4 now also trying to go across. Carla Ryan is there and Nikki Butterfield.
And the woman in black is Sharon Laws. Now, we'd never heard of Sharon Laws this time last year. She finished second to Noni Wood, who has since retired. And Sharon represented Great Britain in the Olympic Games in Beijing because of her performance right here in Australia last January. There she is, and she's forming a spearhead in this group. And I would think, Dave, she's going to be pretty confident.
She would. I mean, she'd be riding on confidence from last year. And this course, it's very, very tough. That looks like Kirsty Brune there. She could be just off the pace a little bit. Another one here, Peter Mullins. Peter Mullins looks like she's dropped back also. So it is really starting to hurt the legs of some of the girls.
But this group is right in with a position here to surprise. Back down into Buninyong. This time we should hear the bell as we go through a very select group. And there is the bell now, as these riders now face their final climb up the Midland Highway and onto Mount Buninyong. Those that can't sprint have got to make a move here now, because this field has got some good sprinters left. So there's 5 riders going through. The rest of the race, and here they are timed at about 45 seconds behind. I don't think they can cross the gap, but you never know.
You never know, but they don't look so organised in this group here. It doesn't look like an organised chase. On the climb now, and look at this, it's down to 4, but there is one girl missing, and it's Carla Ryan.
Well, we've got Whitelaw, Laws, Butterfield, of course it is here, but you're right, Carla Ryan is not here. She must have gone, and there she is. She's going up towards the top of the Midland Highway. She's got the left turn to come. She's playing her cards now. It's all or nothing for Carla.
She's attacked hard. She's had good legs all day. She looked pretty comfortable in the bunch earlier, and now she's going for home. She's still got quite a few kilometres left of the climb. As you see the girls here, look at them, just hanging off the back. They're trying to cross the gap.
Well, Carla's looking forward to a great season this year. She's sporting the colours of her new team. This is the second group on the road, if we don't call Carla Ryan a group, and there she is. She's now heading down towards the turn into the straight, which is the Ballarat Road, which will take her back to Buninyong for the last time. It's not cut and dried yet, but I think it's good enough. She's got 30 seconds there. She's made that. I think she knows they can't reach her now. I think she's ridden superbly today, and she's about to do the double because she won the time trial as well. She is the absolute champion of women's cycling this year in Australia. Here she comes, her pedals glinting in the sun.
And look at the long straight, but she knows she's got it. Look at the smile on her face. She looks around, Phil, and the arms are in the air.
Well, it's a lovely feeling, but she was wise to make sure nobody was creeping up. Now she can enjoy the straight down Warren Heap Road here. She comes up towards the finish. Carla Ryan from Queensland comes home just over 3 hours. A pretty good time for the 102 kilometres in these conditions. And she's got both championships, one finger up for each championship. So she almost got time here to swing around and see the sprint, because here it comes. And this looks like Ruth Corset is taking on Nikki Butterfield. Butterfield's on the right. 2 more Queenslanders, a hat-trick for Queensland as Corset takes it on the line. Butterfield, Vicky Whitelaw, and then Sharon Laws.
Carla, if somebody told you before this 4-day carnival that you would win 2 gold medals from 2 events, what would you have thought?
Wouldn't have expected it whatsoever. It's been a huge surprise, a pleasant one at that.
Tell us about the turning point in the race for you today.
Would probably be 2 to 3 laps to go. 2 laps to go, I attacked around the top to back part of the course and really opened it up. I could see the girls tiring from that, and I thought, now's my chance. The next lap I have to do it. I have to take the opportunity, otherwise so many girls out here are a lot stronger sprinters than me, so I wouldn't have won in a bunch kick.
Peter Mullins is the winner of the gold medal at the Australian Open Road Cycling Championships. Peter, you were involved with the elite women. The race was combined today. Do you think that worked in your favour?
A little bit. Kind of missed the move with 2 laps to go when Carla Ryan put the pressure down going up the hill, and kind of feel like I should have been there. I felt really strong today, which was a surprise. I didn't think I had the endurance or the Ks in my legs to kind of pull off a win today, but I'm really happy.
Best result of your career?
I've never won an Australian road title, so I suppose I just want to thank my coach, Scott McGorry. He's taken on my program in the last couple of months. He's done some amazing things, done a lot of intensity, and it paid off today.
Well, a very happy Carla Ryan now, and she did indeed lead home a 1-2-3 for Queensland, who always seem to do well in Buninyong. Carla Ryan gets it ahead of Ruth Corset and Nikki Butterfield. She was, of course, Nikki Edgett formerly. Now she's married. Fourth place, Vicky Whitelaw had so much bad luck in the time trial. Sharon Law, second last year, content with fifth this time around. The under-23 title went to Peter Mullin. She's only 20 years of age, ahead of Sarah Kent and Tiff Cromwell. More than 80 riders took part in the under-23 event, and just how big has this event grown over the years? And it was good to see. They faced up to 12 laps of the circuit, which the women also rode. And at first they too showed a great deal of respect for the climb of the Midland Highway.
They certainly did, but the young guys are eager to get into it, and we saw here one of the local riders, Bradley Clark, was the first one to attack across the top. By lap 3, he was joined by Malcolm Rudolph, and they'd built up a steady lead.
But they never got more than a minute over the field, who were quite attentive here as they continued to try and break into contact. Then there was an attack by Michael Pearson, Angus Morton and Andrew Rowe. This was on lap number 5. The main field at a minute and a half. They joined the two leaders at this point.
This formed a really solid group, some good riders from different teams, and they all started to work well together until this man shot from the peloton, Michael Matthews, and started to eat into the lead.
He made his move on lap number 7, Michael Matthews. Remember, he was the rider that won the bronze medal in the time trial a few days earlier. And this was a very heroic chase. The main field now were trying to chase down those 5 leaders, which would shortly become 6, because Michael Matthews made contact. It had taken him the best part of 20 kilometres to cross the void.
This was a good move for the Savings and Loans guys, and you could see here, though, there was a little bit of indecision. Back in the peloton, they didn't know whether to chase or to sit up. It had caused a split, and that split was caused because of a crash of 5 riders, including Jack Bobridge. It happened at the feed station, so there was a little bit of indecision.
Other riders who tried to cross the gap were soon picked up by the chasing peloton. Now there was just those 5 riders remaining, and there was a smell of blood in the air because the riders were now going out on lap number 10 of 12.
Jack Bobridge here had got angry. He was aggressive, and now he started to make his move across to that group.
So with other riders willing to join him, only Michael Matthews survived to the front 5. And then if you take a look over his shoulder, he would have seen Jack Bobridge, his teammate, coming up, along with Nathan Earl and Mark O'Brien. 4 riders out front as they approached the finish. And what a finish it was turning out to be now. As they came up for the finish, a very difficult sprint in the windy conditions. Jack Bobridge, who'd won the time trial, added here the under-23 road race, and he's only 19 years of age.
I thought I'd be a bit marked from the time trial, but I just left the race till as late as possible and waited for everyone else to have a bit of a go, and then made my move.
So Bobridge achieving the double time trial and road race champion for the under-23s. He gets the better of Michael Matthews and Mark O'Brien. The camera and the transponders the riders were could not split them, so they were both given a silver medal. And in 4th place was Nathan Earl, the top 5 completed by Daniel Braunsteins. So all of the titles are over now, except the blue ribbon of Australian cycling, the Elite Men's Road Race. We'll take a short break. Rejoin us for that. Mount Buninyong is an extinct volcano. It towers above the town from which it takes its name and has a population of only 1,800. Buninyong itself is the epicentre for the Scody Australian Road Championships, and it was settled long before Ballarat existed, back in 1841. So to the final event, the Men's Elite Championship. It'll be over 4 hours in the saddle. One man who won't be riding anymore, though. Henk Vogel's here talking to the public as he says his farewells after nearly 2 decades as a top bike rider. He also won the Australian Championship. Well, the defending champion today is Matthew Lloyd, who rode away from the field just a year ago to win the title for the first time. As always, there are top contenders, and here now is David McKenzie talking to some of them, starting with Michael Rogers.
Michael, TT win already under the belt. So far we've seen time trial winners win the road races. How do you think you'll stack up today?
Yeah, hopefully, obviously in the under-23s and the women, they did the double, so Pressure's on, no doubt about that.
I mean, Michael Rogers and Travis Meyer, you know, the guys are going very well. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are going to be very marked. So, you know, hopefully I can just slip off somewhere undetected.
Yeah, just quietly, I'm moving all right, but I mean, today's a different day, and hopefully everything works out to plan.
Oh, it's a hard course, so you have to have a good bit of base if you're going to come here. It's a really hard course, and the winner's always the best guy on the day.
The legs are pretty close, so have a good day. I mean, the last couple of weeks I've had some good days and some bad days, so I hit one of the good days, I'm up.
It's the same every year. You got to rock up. You got to be optimistic, which isn't, you know, a hard thing in summer in Australia. So, you know, everyone's excited for the day, and I'm the same. You know, you just got to rip into it and see what happens.
Well, this massive field of over 130 riders face up to the same circuit as all of the other riders, except they cover it now a massive 16 times. It's going to be a long, hot day. Well, if we go by tradition, Dave, as the weather warms up, it'll be another wall of attrition on this circuit. And I reckon of this massive field, perhaps 40 or 50 will actually get to the finish.
It is going to be a big day. It is warming up already. The cloud has cleared, and you can see now the riders head out on their journey. 16 laps, 160 kilometres. Big crowd building up already on the mountain.
Absolutely, that's the best place to go, of course. All the Barbies are out and everybody going to enjoy at least 4 hours of cycling up this big climb here as we go up the Midland Highway for the first time, and a left turn at the top. The climb really does start at the top of this long main road climb when we climb up Mount Buninyong Road. Early attack here, Jai Crawford on the front.
And that looks like David Kemp in second wheel, so already the attacks are starting. Christian House trying to go across there. And here we see now, looks like 3-4 riders. That's Dean Windsor in the red colours there of the Drapac Porsche team, but it's still a long way to go.
Well, that's only just about 5 kilometres in as we start now heading up over towards the top of the mountain first time. Way down below, off the left shoulder of the riders, is the town of Buninyong. Here we come now, moving down into Off-Gear Avenue now, down towards Fishkin as we complete the first circuit. And the interest is the field is regrouping here under pressure. And there's a lot of new riders. This looks like Michael England pushing through at the front now. And in fact, there's Damien Turner, the Ballarat man, who was in the early breakaway, Dave, this time last year.
He was, and he dropped his chain, would you believe? Couldn't get it back on. He had to get off his bike, put it back on, and he never rejoined the breakaway. So he's keen today. He's been training pretty hard for this course. As you said, he lives in Ballarat, so he'd dearly love to have a good result today.
Well, we're pulling together 5 or 6 leaders here, and this is the second attack of the day. We're on lap number 2, and a couple of more riders bridging the gap, so this is going to be an early breakaway. It all depends really on the composition. If the race favourites get a man in here, they might react. If they don't, they might just back off. Trent Lowe in the orange top to his jersey there, riding for his new team, Garmin-Chipotle. Started with them last year. He's in there as well. Good move, this.
It is a good move. Bernard Salzberger. He's a crash, though. It looks like 3, maybe 4 riders. Who has that gone down? It looks like Nick Mitchell riding for Bike Hub. He's come down. He's taken a bit of skin off.
Oh, that's a shame. A touch of wheels, a big bunch like this. It's going to happen. The doctor just checking him out, and I think he's had enough. So that's the end of the championship for Mitchell as we go back up to 2 chasers trying to bridge here. Now, this will be Ashley Baines and Hayden Brooks. They've left it a bit late, I think, because that little group up front has got over a minute now, and the peloton here are all being driven along by Drapac Porsche.
When for good reason, because the lead is now out to 4 minutes 40. They're on lap 5. Trent Lowe is in there for Garmin-Chipotle. Bernard Salzberger, they are 2 of the main players. There's Damien Turner, the local rider from Ballarat, and then also Jai Crawford, who's a very good climber. So this is a dangerous move, Phil.
This is a good move now, especially with Salzberger and Lowe in it. Michael England's there for Budget Forklifts. Damien Turner, an interesting character. Although he lives literally down the road to this circuit, he very rarely ever rides these roads because he literally hates them. He says they're so hard, he always goes off from his home in the opposite direction. There he is, and it looks as though it's curtains here, actually. He's done enough to probably win the King of the Mountains because he's been first at the top of Mount Buninyong every time he was in the breakaway, but he's falling away now, and we're being left here with just 4 riders up front.
Well, it is starting to dwindle down, and in fact there are now just 2 riders in front. This is Trent Lowe still out there, and on his wheel is Bernard Salzberger. So these 2 riders, but they look like they're going to be joined by a select group very shortly. Here's Michael England. He was the remnants of that original breakaway. He's getting caught by the peloton.
Well, it's unlucky 13 now, because really there's nothing in this. The split behind is going up to those leaders, and it looks as though, although it's a brave effort by them, they are now part of this leading group. So Sulzberger and indeed Trent Lowe have been joined by the elite here, and this is now a very workmanlike group.
It is a group that I think will go away and win the race, because you've got Matthew Wilson in there, Michael Rogers, Matthew Heyman, Clark, and there's a couple of other big names. Cameron Meyer is also there, so this is a really select group.
Yes, and second in from the back there is Carl Menzies, also a medalist in the past in these championships. But this is not a good sign here, because Matthew Lloyd, who has looked so cool all day on the climbs, is now having to try and bring up this back group, and it's going to be a tough ask, I think, because a lot of big names have gone.
They are, and here you can see now a couple of riders who are just straggling off the back. They're trying to get across. That's Cameron Jennings riding for Budget Forklift. So these two guys, they're going to do it tough, because they're on the climb, and you can see the splits happening here already. There's Heyman just off the back. It looks like he's come off the back over the climb. But now Mick Rogers, he is going on the attack.
Well, we're 1.5 laps in the finish here as we head along Gear Avenue. This little rise has always caused a problem in the past. It's a brilliant place to go, but they've not let him go. Peter McDonald's tried to latch onto it and trying to bring him back into the fold, and somehow Rogers is still managing to ride away from a group which clearly is not willing to let him go.
He's riding strongly. Look at him now pushing the gear as the remnants of the peloton, they make their way around the first section of the climb, but it is all over. These guys are now going for home.
Well, Rogers made a brave bid here, because he's looking at about 14 kilometres to the finish. We'll get the bell, and here it is. He comes up the straight. Look right down the straight. The crowd have moved in off the mountain now. There's a massive crowd here in Buninyong. Michael Rogers, is he going to complete a perfect weekend? Let's not forget that in the men and the women before, the under-23s, the same riders won both the titles. And Carl O'Ryan and Jack Bobbage, they're going home with 2 golds. Now, is Rogers going to complete what I would think is an unprecedented hat-trick? He is clear now as he heads up the Midland Highway, but there is a group going for him, and this is Peter MacDonald. Now, MacDonald's a pretty good sprinter. Where's he found those legs from, Dave?
No one would have expected this. You could have picked any of the other riders, but no one would have picked McDonald, and he has just crossed the gap on his own. He has left that group of 5 behind, and look at him, he's got to Rogers with ease.
And look at Cameron Meyer going on the climb as well, and 21 years old today. Meyer is going here, he's just on the edge of a medal.
Rogers now pushing. Can he do the double? He's got McDonald in tow. I tell you what, he wants to think about how he's going to work this out at the finish, because McDonald can sprint.
So this is a climax we weren't expecting here, and now Meyer has been joined with a superb effort by Adam Hansen. Hansen a little bit handicapped here. His teammates up front. He's going to hit Meyer if he can. This is basically downhill towards the Ballarat Road. Then it's a left turn and you're in the finish. Cameron Meyer, who's one of the stars of the future, looks over his shoulder. That's a bad sign. He's racing for 4th now as Hansen goes clear. He's trying desperately to reach his teammate Rogers. Then he's 2 against 1. This is not good news for MacDonald. MacDonald looked over his shoulder. He knows Hansen is coming.
He's going to get them on the final turn into the finishing straight. Now what are they going to do? They've got about a kilometre to play it out.
Well, I don't think Adam Hansen has really got onto these two. He's still off the back there because Michael Rogers hasn't realised he's opened up the sprint very, very early. Hansen is still using all of his effort to try and get on the back wheel of MacDonald, while this is the final act by Michael Rogers, and MacDonald's having none of it. He's got into the slipstream of the time trial champion and he's taken him, and I don't think there'll be any answer from Michael Rogers now. This was a well-taken win by Peter MacDonald because, in fact, Adam Hansen never made contact. So 2 Team Columbia riders and Pro Tour riders at that have been beaten by the local man from Sydney, and he richly deserves the victory. He punches the sky. That's without doubt the finest win of his career. Back in 4th place comes Cameron Meyer, 21 years old today, and then a terrific future for him. There's the congratulations from Gene Bates. The team has done a great job today, and Peter MacDonald finishes it off.
Well, Peter, you've got the national jersey, you've got the gold medal. I think it's all starting to sink in now.
Slowly, I think it might take a little bit more time.
Well, tell me, do you have to pinch yourself? You're up against 2 international riders for the last 2 kilometres. Michael Rogers, Adam Hansen. How did you pull that one off?
I don't know, really. Yeah, like, as soon as Adam got there, I thought all my chances are gone pretty much. But But yeah, I just managed to get back to him when he attacked, and I knew obviously Rogers is going to go there, and then got away from Hansen and somehow got around Rogers in the end.
Is it disappointing for you?
Yeah, a little bit, you know, coming so close. I think, you know, I was probably the strongest rider out there, and, you know, things just didn't work out at the finish. But that's the way it is, you know. It's my hat goes off to Peter McDonald, you know, he rode a really strong race, and yeah.
We did 2 or 3 attacks total between Mick and I, and it was sort of like Mick's last one. I thought it was, you know, he was going to go and that was it. And so Mick did a good attack in the final and he dropped me, but Peter was good enough to go with him, and then Peter went around Mick, and you know, it sort of didn't really work out the way we wanted it to.
Yes, and that gave Peter McDonald the biggest win of his career as he takes out the Australian title. Peter coming from New South Wales, just over 4 hours in the saddle today. Very hot towards the end. He gets in ahead of the 2 Team Columbia riders, Michael Rogers from the ACT and Adam Hansen from Queensland. Then came the 21-year-old Cameron Meyer. That's how he's enjoyed his birthday today, finishing 4th. Matt Wilson 5th, and the defending champion Matthew Lloyd in 6th.
I'm sure you'll agree we saw some wonderful road racing here in Buninyong. Phil Liggett, what was your highlight?
I think the highlight was the way Carla Ryan got the double in the women's events, and also Jack Bobridge has confirmed to us now he really is a major talent for Australia for the future and will probably head up a gold medal in the Olympic Games in London in 2012. And Michael Rogers, well, he's back and he'll go into the Tour de France now as a favourite to win that, Mike.
And Phil, we've got a lot to look forward to in the future. Michael Rogers and Adam Hansen, they picked up silver and bronze in the men's road race. A little bit disappointed, but they can go into the new season with a lot of encouragement. Yes, as professionals, they'll be very upset. 2 riders on the same team being beaten by a national rider who doesn't get a lot of international competition. A little bit embarrassing for them, but nonetheless, they've shown it's a long year. Their form is already here. It's not top form, that's good. That will come in the months that lie ahead. For Peter McDonald, he was absolutely superb and deserved the title. Thank you very much, Phil Liggett. Thanks also to Dave McKenzie. I'm Mike Tomalaris. We'll see you next time.